What's up, everybody? I know I said this is the second video of the night. I just posted one, you probably saw it, for the air demand pump. So if you haven't, I'm going to put a link up here so you'll be able to see it and get to it. Before I start with this video, I want to say a couple things that I normally save for the end of the video. But just in case you guys aren't watching to the end of the video, I want to go ahead and get it out of the way now. I have approximately 300 subscribers right now, 304 to be exact, and I am so appreciative for you guys. I thank you so much for subscribing and being around. With anything when it comes to YouTube, social media, whatever, if you could please like, share, subscribe. It's free for you to do. It helps me out tremendously. Mainly at this point, it's nothing monetary. Nothing happens for quite a while as far as that's concerned. For me, it's motivation. The more I see you guys liking the information I put out there and wanting more of the information that I put out there, the more drive it gives me to want to do it, right? And at the same time, selfishly, I kind of want to be the person that people think of when they think of 767 systems. That way I can try and leave my mark on aviation in some way, shape, or form, um, even though I'm not a pilot right now. Um, and then the second thing I want to say is I did take my FOI exam. I passed my FOI exam. If you're not sure what that is, it's the fundamentals of instruction. I know that seems kind of ironic that because of what I do for a living and because I do this for fun, but I am officially trying to get my advanced ground instructor from the FAA, and I need one more test to do that, obviously, for those of you that know the system. Um, and I'm studying for that now, so I'm hoping I should have that test at least scheduled in September, and get it hopefully done and out of the way. And then the next one will be my IGI, and who knows, maybe I can try and start flying at some point. I don't know. I really want to get back to flying. I'm 45 hours into my private, and I'd really like to get finish that at least. I'd really like to get to my ATP and be able to actually fly these things with you guys and talk about them that way versus just talking about it from a systems perspective. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so now that's almost 3 minutes of me basically pour me, pander me, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about what we're actually here for, and that's the hydraulic driven generator. Um, you guys are great about asking for certain videos. I had somebody ask for the fire protection, a little bit more in depth than it. I did that one a few days ago. I had somebody ask for the ADP, so I did that one, and now the hydraulic driven generator is another request. This one shouldn't be too long of a video because there's not much to go over really, other than I mean, it is what it is. So we'll talk about it here real quick, and yeah, then you guys can let me know what you think of the video. All right, so hydraulic driven generator, what is it? It is exactly what it sounds like. It is a hydraulic driven generator. So since it's a hydraulically driven generator, that means we have to have hydraulics in a particular system to get this thing to work. Now, 99% of the time, if you're on a 7.6 and you have an HDG, it's because your aircraft is set up for ETOPS. ETOPS will be a different video, but just assume that I'm correct, and we'll say that it was an ETOPS airplane. That's why you have an HDG. But along with that, you only have one HDG, and like I said, 99% of the time, because that 1%, there was a group of airplanes that I know of that were purchased by Qantas, I believe. Um, that was a 7.6 that had 3 HDGs. They had one HDG on each hydraulic system, and I don't know what Qantas was ever expecting to do with those airplanes, but boy, they were expecting never to have to worry about losing power on them at all. So anyway, let's talk about what the HDG actually does. So the HDG is First off, it's hydraulically driven from the center hydraulic system. Okay, so the center hydraulic system is what's going to power this, or at least run it, and then it creates power. Now, the way it creates power is really freaking cool if you're a nerd, kind of like I am when it comes to this. So it has hydraulics that creates electrics by using basically an AC generator and a TR unit, or a transformer rectifier. And the transformer rectifier brings it down to DC power. Okay. Now on the 7.6, when we teach this, like if you're somebody who's not in the 7.6 world and you're learning and you're just wanting to see what's out there and all that kind of stuff, the 7.6 is a very easy airplane when it comes to electrics. You don't have to know that it's 115, 400 hertz, blah 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 blah, three phase. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. There's nowhere for us to see it on the aircraft. So numbers aren't that important. So by saying it has an AC generator on it, cool, it's got an AC generator and it gives me DC power. You don't need to memorize the numbers necessarily, but we'll talk about that. So here we got this handy dandy diagram that gives us what our AC and our DC power are. The AC is in blue, the DC is in pink, so you can kind of see how this works. Now again, you can notice this is a Thomas Cook diagram, and the reason I know that it's Thomas Cook, first off, is I took it from my Thomas Cook information that I have. But if you look here, center AC and center DC, you see how center is spelled? It's spelled the European way or the English way, so that's how I know that it's a Thomas Cook thing and not an Americanized version of it. Some other things to kind of note here is on this particular airplane, there is an APU battery discharge light. There's an APU battery here with a 90 minute power AC connector to be able to tie your APU battery into the hot battery bus. That does not exist in every 7.6. Most, I would say predominantly, the 7.6s do not have the ability to connect their APU battery to the main battery, and you only get 30 minutes out of the battery. Okay, that is in my electrics video. If you want to see that, I'll post a thing up here that shows you that. It's much more informative in there. I'm not going to go through it in here. Now, HCG. First off, do I have any controls in the cockpit for it? No. Do I have any indications that it works? Kinda. So, and the reason I say kind of is you would have to really know what was on the left and right AC transfer buses. Well, maybe not, because there's one thing it doesn't show here. It doesn't show the part down this direction. So from here down is the captain's flight instrument transfer bus. If for some reason the HDG does not work when you lose power, now remember, this is a dual power failure, not a dual engine failure. Okay, so dual power failure means that both my generators have failed and both of my buses are gone. So that means my left DC, right DC, left AC, right AC buses are gone. They don't work for whatever reason. Whether it means the generators are bad on the engines, or whether it means I don't know, maybe I got struck by lightning and it kicked out my generators, or it popped the breakers on them and now they won't reset, or something like that. Just, I don't know, make up a scenario why the two buses wouldn't work, and that's when we get our HDG. Okay, so the reason I'm particular about that is because the RAT on some airplanes, not the 7.6, but like some other models of aircraft, give you electrical power. On the 7.6, the RAT only gives you hydraulics. The HDG is what gives you your electrics. However, the RAT only comes out for dual engine failure, where the HDG is dual power failure. So I want to make that distinction very clear. Okay, So now here that we're looking at the HDG, and we see that we have our AC generator on this side. We have our TR, our transformer rectifier on that side, to take that AC power and step it down to DC power to be able to not, blow out these things here that need it. Okay. Now, there are no controls. There are no indicators for the HDG. It either works or it doesn't. If it doesn't, you'll notice because the captain's flight instrument transfer goes away, and therefore nobody has flight instruments. All you're going to have is the hot battery bus, the battery bus, and the 2 standbys. That's all you'll have. But in this particular case, it adds in the left AC, right AC transfers, and your captain flight instrument transfer to be able to allow you to have some sort of flight instruments to be able to land the aircraft, as well as miscellaneous stuff throughout the rest of the airplane. Your QRH should have a list of what's in each of those. If they don't, you can look in your FCOM. The FCOM sometimes lists it out or not. I'm not going to go through all of it because I don't make anybody memorize what's on it, because it's really not as important for you to be able to memorize it and be able to regurgitate that to me. The big thing to remember here is that the HDG is installed on ETOPS certified aircraft, and it is dual powered. It is AC and DC. It is DC through a transformer rectifier. Okay, so those are the big ticket items. Something else that's a little bit different, we'll say, about the HDG. Yes, it gives you DC power. Yes, it powers your batteries, or it charges your batteries. But it only charges your batteries to about 24 volts. Now, I know I said, numbers don't matter, and they don't really. The only reason this particular number kind of matters is because 24 volts is lower than what your batteries are. Your batteries are 28 volt batteries. So that means you have a 4 volt disparity. So what ends up happening if you're charging it at 24 volts, but it's a 28 volt battery? It is going to discharge 4 volts, essentially, right? So when that happens, when you click over to the HDG, you're going to have a discharge light that's going to pop up here telling you that the batteries are discharging. And it will do that until the batteries get to the same level that the HDG is powering. So if the HDG is powering, for some reason, it's powering 25 volts, battery gets to 25, discharge light extinguishes. If it's at 23, it gets down to 23 volts, and it extinguishes. If it goes to 24, whatever the TR is putting out for that DC power, which should be 24 volts, but there's going to be plus or minus, right? Whatever it's putting out, when the battery gets to that point, that's when the discharge light extinguishes. So it's perfectly normal to see that. Your QRH should say that it's perfectly normal to see that, but that's the only time where numbers kind of matter, but they don't really, because you can just say, well, when the battery gets to the same level as the TR, the discharge light goes out. It doesn't matter what that number is. It doesn't matter if it's 24, 25, 27, 23. It doesn't matter. Okay. So that's really all there is on the HDG. It's dual powered. It's ran by the center hydraulic system. It powers what you see here, plus the flight instrument transfer on the captain's side. And it's basically non-time limited as long as you have hydraulic pressure. Now, here's one thing that's kind of cool, and again, this is kind of nerdy, and it's not really shown in this diagram very well. It's not really shown in any diagram very well. But if you are using your HDG technically makes the center, it's what helps make the center a heavy system, because since the HDG isn't located, your HDG is not located on any other hydraulic system. Therefore, it makes the center system heavier, because now not only do we have flap slats gear, we now add in this HDG. But what is cool about that is that means you're using your ADP to provide hydraulic pressure to your HDG, and yes, I'm using a lot of acronyms, and then to get that gives you electrics. So what that means is the aircraft is actually using pneumatic pressure from the center duct to create hydraulic pressure in the center hydraulic system to give me electrics on the airplane. I'm sorry, but that's just me really nerding out, but that's exactly what it does. I'm using air to create hydraulic to create electric, and that's just freaking cool. That's just cool. So, on that note, I'm going to leave you with that very lovely fact and move on and say if you have any other questions on the HDG, the ADP, and any other acronym you can come up with on this aircraft. If you have any questions on any of it, you can leave them in the comments. You can send me an email. The emails will be in the description of the video, as well as some other useful links. Hell, I don't know. I usually throw a Venmo in there if you feel like the information I give you is helping you and you want to donate to my cause and help me do this more often. That would be awesome. If not, no pressure. It's whatever. I'm going to keep doing the videos anyway. So, again, thank you for anybody that's liked, shared, subscribed. And put this information out there. Thank you for giving it to people who really need it. And if you're somebody that I've helped or somebody that's gotten good information out of this and you really like what I do, send me an email and tell me. I love hearing those kind of stories. That makes me happy. That makes me want to do this more. Just a quick side note, I had for the company I work for right now, or that I'm contracting with right now, I went down to do a meeting for a week last week, and one of the girls that I helped get through her oral, I sat with her and her sim partner for 3 hours in the hotel one night a year ago, and we went through the entire overhead panel. I beat them up with questions. I did anything and everything I could to make sure that they were good for their oral. And when she came and saw me last week, she was in the same meeting I was in. And when she came and saw me last week, she said, "You helped me pass my oral because I wasn't ready after ground school. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have passed my oral." Those kind of things, I love hearing those kind of things. I try and stay humble unless I'm talking to my wife. Then I kind of get a big head about it, and I'm like, yeah, I did this and this, whatever. But honestly, I just love hearing the good stories from you guys. I really do. So if you have one, if I've helped you in some way, shape, or form, please let me know, because I just love hearing it. Outside of that, you guys have a great night, great morning, great day, whatever time it is for you watching the video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.